very...
Why is it doing that? That's crazy talk.
It's a preamble to... Everyone's like, whoa, what are they playing?
What on earth is this? It's Spelunky 2.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I can't hear you anymore. I'm
I
deaf.
couldn't hear you over the sound of excellent game.
It's Spelunky 2, one of your favourite games of all time.
It is, and I've been playing a lot of it recently, so I thought, hey, didn't know what to do for the channel. We're a little one-off. Let's just do it today. I'm going to see how far I can get. Baseline of half an hour of play. I'm going to see how good we can do for a run.
So, what is Spelunky, Reece, and what's your history with it?
Spelunky is a roguelike platformer, a indie darling, at least the original Spelunky, from way back when, in the sort of early 2010s. Spelunky 2 came out in 2020.
It wasn't that long ago, was it?
It was. Came out in 2020.
Oof.
Which was a... pardon me. Sorry, just eating chicken nuggets. Yeah, this came out in 2020, and I've spent a lot of time on it across the PS4 version, the Switch version, and now the newly upgraded PS5 version, which adds 120 frames per second support.
Personally, I think that's too many frames per second in this economy.
Which you will not see on YouTube because we don't have the ability to capture 120 frames per second. But believe me, that I can see it on the screen, as well as some improved lighting effects. And the goal of this game is simple: we get to the end of the mines and find the treasure and any other secrets in between. And like many roguelike games, if you die, the whole game restarts from the beginning with all the levels re-randomized. It's a load of fun. Most fun you'll have with your clothes on.
Why do you love it so much?
Why do I love it so much? Well, these games are kind of like my bread and butter. I never really realized why. And to this day, I still don't quite understand why. But me and my best pal Andy used to play the first Spelunky a lot in uni. And it just became a really good, like... For me, it's always served as a game that if I don't really know what to play and I've got like let's say I've got like half an hour to an hour to spend playing video games, you can't go wrong with Spelunky. It's kind of challenging in the most perfect kind of way. Like it's a lovely mix of 8 times out of 10 if you die it's because you fucked up, you know, and it's a skill issue. But for every 8 times, there's 2 times out of 10 where, as the fan base called it, you've been spelunkied or spelunked, where the game has just decided to throw some utter bullshit you couldn't predict or deal with quick enough. And I think that blend between the two is what makes the game so exciting, because it's funny, you know, like it blends it both enough that it's never truly frustrating. Because this game could, on paper, be the most frustrating thing in the world, but I very rarely find it aggravating to the point of annoyance. Like, it's disheartening if I get really far and like it doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I always go into these things at fairly high spirits. So we're gonna buy some bombs. I could theoretically buy both. And then the next time I've got a shop, it'll all be discounted because I've bought all his items.
Do it.
However, I don't want these 2, so I'm going to leave it be. But I want more bombs. What we're trying to do is going to make sure we want to currently have 40,000 gold. So when we get to the jungle, I can buy the head jet, which is a headpiece that allows us to get a secret item later on in the game. So there's lots of little goodies and secrets and tricks that allow you to get secret endings and find other little secrets here and there and everywhere within the game. Thank you. And it's a frustrating case of I know exactly where I need to go, what I need to do to get these things done. But I've never been able to do it on Spelunky 2. I've beat the game once on the PS4 version. I've yet to do it on the PS5 version, and that's once. Like Spelunky 1, I've beat a fair amount of times. And there's two major ways of beating Spelunky 1, where I did it normally quite a handful of times, and the hard way I did it like once or twice, maybe twice. Whereas yeah, I've not been able to beat Spelunky 2 on like in the hard way at all. So it's my mission at the moment to try and figure that out. That's what I like about it. It's like it's a game. Fuck you. That kind of fuck you. That rewards.
Like wow, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
It's a game that rewards like your like sort of perseverance and putting the time in, basically. Because once you know, because it's a game about systems essentially. And once you know the game's systems, you kind of use those to sort of turn the game against itself in certain respects. So, for example, if I was to like wait for an arrow trap is always a good way for me to like do this one. Or like even shit bag. Like this enemy, for example, will roll once it sees you, will roll forward and become this unstoppable ball of death. Whereas it would normally hurt you, but you could, for example, jump up into its vision for a split second. It would come after you. If you've got some enemies in the way, you could use it to trick it into like rolling over other enemies. Or if you can see this arrow trap on the right? These grey little boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm far enough away that I could like just activate them and jump away, but I could throw this forward to set it off, jump over the thingy, and then use that knowledge to drop this arrow from this one down to activate the other arrow trap, so I don't have to worry about it.
I've seen you play this a million billion times, but every time you do it, it does still fascinate me because this game is just far beyond my comprehension, truthfully. Like, I've tried so many times to understand this game and get this kind of rhythm, and I just... It feels like the kind of game that you just have to have known.
Yeah, I mean, it's
for a long time. I'm not saying it's inaccessible. I'm just saying that, like,
no, you just kind of have to know the game. Really, it's one of those things you just kind of have to keep going at it until you become like almost like intimately familiar.
Yeah.
How it works. And there's still so many things in this game that I'm not familiar with. Like there's levels later on and enemies later on which I've barely encountered. Like I did a run the other day where I got to like the last sets of levels. And I was like, mate, I think I've done this. So I had a shotgun as well. So I was like, I feel like powerful. I feel overconfident, and you should never be overconfident in Spelunky. And I fired the shotgun at an enemy, and I completely forgot until basically the moment I shot the gun that the enemy I fired at was wearing protective armor that would reflect the shotgun bullets back at me. It was literally the moment I pressed square, I was like, oh. And then died, and that was like a 40-minute run just down the drain.
I suppose roguelikes do teach you like perseverance, yes, but there's another word for it in terms of, I guess it's like resolve, and that you just kind of like, all right, cool.
Yeah, you just got to kind of pick yourself back up and start it all over again, and that's what I quite like about them. It teaches you good lessons for like other games, you know.
I haven't played a lot of roguelikes again, especially not this one, because I'm for me it's not the concept of it being a roguelike, it's more the fact that it's just like the technical like controls I could never seem to get to grips with. But I do think my favourite is Hades. That has taught me to be a bit more.
Yeah, Hades is a great example. Hades is one of my favourite ones as well. Hades is good because there's a good like narrative thrust behind it that like roguelikes don't tend to have narrative thrusts behind them, whereas Hades is kind of like you're kind of doing all of that to get to a point where you're finding more about the characters and the world, which I really enjoy.
Any examples of other ones that I've played?
I don't know if there would be any that you've played. But if you played any of Returnal sort of counts.
I played a little bit of Returnal on stream once, and that was good. That just felt very overwhelming because it was such like a big... I don't know, there's something about the concept of that game that was just so, like, big.
Yeah. To be fair, Returnal is also, like, hard as fucking balls.
Yeah, it was hard. I don't remember getting particularly far at all.
It took me a long time to get to where I needed to get in that game. But it's one of my favourite PS5 games. For the same reasons why I like Spelunky, is that it is a game that it feels like once you've once you've nailed it, you know, it just feels so rewarding once you do the things that you need to do. In the same way that like Souls games can be really rewarding once you kind of understand their systems.
How many times today are you going to hint that you want me to play a Souls game?
What do you mean today?
Over the course of all time of us being together, you have been like, oh, so hey, you know, Souls games are pretty cool. So from what I've heard, they're.
I just think if you were to play them, it would teach you things about game. And don't go because I'm not that great at them at all. But you know, and I guess I sort of had the gamer knowledge in me already, so it doesn't really matter to me. But Souls games more than anything teach you like loss and patience in games, and it's also I just think it's like it's just an observation I've made about there's plenty of people who've started YouTube who are like into games, but they might not play like the widest variety of things, right? So they've heard lots of good things about Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, right, yada yada yada. So they're like, I'm gonna give it a go, and you see people kind of almost bounce off it immediately, right?
Yeah.
But once they're into it, it suddenly teaches these people who aren't necessarily that great at games to suddenly become great at every game they ever put their hands on, because like Dark Souls teaches you these kind of like gaming like fundamentals, right? In terms of like how to approach certain tasks and how to have the right mindset for like dealing with certain obstacles. And I've always found that's what's fascinating about them.
What's the best one in terms of like
In terms of if you were new.
Yeah, like obviously not the easiest one, because I know like that's not the point, but like what's the most accessible one you would say to get into? Because I'm down for it. I'm a bit nervous to play them. But if you had to pick one to get into, what would be it?
Like I guess like Elden Ring or Bloodborne, I think are like the
Elden Ring to me seems humongous. Like just in terms of like
it is
scope.
like it's big ass game.
Whereas I feel like I'm most fascinated by Demon Souls.
Shit.
Well, there's the example we were talking about.
There's an audio delay on this game. Have you just noticed that, or is that just me?
Oh, there is.
That's an interesting wrinkle. That doesn't normally happen, does it, lads?
No.
Right, well, we'll just have to kind of deal with that.
Truthfully, I didn't notice it until you pointed it out, so... But now I can't stop noticing it.
Is it an unpluggy situation? I think it's because the screen did that weird thing on it. Oh, that's annoying. Right, well, let's just pretend that's not happening. It'll be low enough in the mix. Sorry, everybody. I might be able to shift some things around. But for us, as the ones playing at home, that might be deeply aggravating. But we move. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I'm most interested by Demon Souls, I think, because it's like the first one.
I think that's a good... To be honest, I think Demon Souls is a good place to start. It's also like the shortest one.
I think that's what I need, is like Elden Ring to me seems good, but I feel like if it's like kind of that sloggy, I just need one that I can complete and be like, okay, that's a good confidence booster, and then go on to like one of the big ones, you know? But like I think Demon Souls and Bloodborne are the ones that have fascinated me, because Bloodborne was one of the first games I watched you play.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I have no knowledge of what any of this is, but it seems cool. Also, you get to create a character at the beginning. Any game that you get to do that is good.
Oh, you little fucker. You can do that in all of them as well.
Exactly. Yeah, I wish I was any good at this game, but I just... Again, it's more the technicals. Like, when they try and teach you the stuff at the beginning, it can't register in my brain for some reason.
Yeah, you've got to sort of have, like, platformer knowledge as well.
Yeah. You robbed him.
I did. Gotta try and get away from him. Now, unlike the first game had a system where, like, if you did that, the guy would be on your tail, like, the entire game.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't hurt anymore, it, wow, that is a really bad audio delay. Hold on, potential edit point.
As if you never knew anything was wrong. You know, it'd be so funny as if you just died right now.
Won't be shocked. Yeah, we'll put that on the docket one day.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Just prepare for a lot of frustration.
Yeah, it might be something that's worth doing. Yeah, I don't know. Like in a year's time or something, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I get annoyed at myself when I get frustrated with games. I think it's just...
Oh, yeah, shit. Fuck.
I think, again, it's because I'm watching you.
Yeah. Come on.
Is I'm just like, oh, I can do that instantly. When I can't, I get... It's more like embarrassed.
Yeah.
I get embarrassed to like sort of play in front of you.
Well, you shouldn't.
I know I shouldn't, but it's in my mind. I'm like, well, you know, it's... I don't know. It's something that I've always kind of struggled with, really. Is like, oh, I can't do that thing instantly good. So
Yeah,
I'm going to get really annoyed and upset and frustrated at myself.
But nobody does in any game, and this is a problem I sometimes find of people who comment on YouTube things and that kind of like, but like, especially if it's like a new, oh fuck, especially if it's like a newer game, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's all well and good, but like, if people would offer certain things, but it's like, there's a thing where it's like, if you've never played the game before, you can't be expected to know all of the intricacies. Because the problem is sometimes with Souls stuff is that people will say things to people who play them online as if like they have the intimate knowledge already, and it's like, no, like people just are playing them for the first time at their own speed. You have to kind of just accept that.
Yeah.
And you also have to realize that like sometimes like when you're trying to do the whole like YouTube talker thing at the same time, you don't realize how much it almost kind of half distracts you.
Yeah, it does.
From the game sometimes. I think that's just like, you know, and I think that applies to whenever if you ever get frustrated, you should just kind of just don't let it get to you, you know?
Yeah. I think I just need to expose myself to more games.
Yeah.
Where dying doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's why like when I first started with Hades, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But actually, I'm trying to think of some more games where it kind of doesn't really matter, but that I have, but I can't right now.
I'll give you a secret. In most games, it doesn't matter.
I know.
Even in games like this, where it's like, oh, you'd think, oh, it does matter because I'm dying. Or like in Returnal, where it's like, oh, it matters because when I die, I have to start the whole thing over again. And you just got to kind of glass half full it and go, oh, I've got to do it all over again, have I? Cool. Once you just have to, for games like that especially, it's like if you bake it into the game itself, it kind of teaches you like, right, well, this is just what I've come to expect.
Yeah.
It's different sometimes if you're playing a certain game and it's like, oh, I've died, but I've got to go back to a checkpoint. That's all the way back here. That's frustrating. But like, but then it doesn't have to be. It's all a mindset. When I say this, I could be a massive hypocrite sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, if I've got to do a thing and it's like an irritating checkpoint where I've got to do annoying things before I get to the thing I'm actually stuck on, it becomes more, I guess, tedious.
Yeah.
Than anything else. It's a careful, tricky balancing act sometimes.
I like this game. I feel like this is our like yap game.
It's good.
Because you play it so much that like you can just kind of do it as second nature.
I say it's a good yapper because I can just vibe with it. You've got nothing. Yeah, this is going to be my kind of good go-to for. Can't think of anything we can play.
Good therapy game.
It's our Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
We should
dun.
get some of those like crappy quiz games. Even though the second you buy them, they date themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I own a couple.
Me too.
Oh,
that was close. Bag of bombs. My secret with this game, though, is that I do quite like it when you die because I find these early levels, having watched you play it so much, find them quite comforting. So when you go beyond like the dun dun dun, I get like, oh no, I don't know where you are, and I'm scared. Do you think is it possible to speedrun this game? Because you can't really learn it.
Yeah, you can speedrun it. There's ways and means around it. So like, oh, fuck. Interesting.
Got to find some rope.
So yeah, you can speedrun just like getting your way to the end of the game. Like it's not gonna, it's difficult to like do it against other people's like runs because the oh, there's no way I can get back up there. Fuck. Right, and they're gonna like the people do speed runs where it's like, oh, fastest to like complete the journal, so like making sure you've seen every enemy and found every item and done everything in the game. Some people do a thing where it's like all shortcuts, so there's like when you get to certain checkpoints or levels, there's a character that like can open up shortcuts for you if you could bring them certain items to do things. So it's like, right, you can start a fresh save file and see how quick you can get the stuff or the shortcuts. There's also, this game does have like seeded runs, so you can get people to, you could have a speedrun set of like, right, this is, we're gonna speedrun from this seed, and
having a drink break.
you can speedrun from this seed and see how fast you can get.
Because I know, having watched, like, there's a couple of video essays in that boss fight book tells you about like the 16 or the 32 squares in any level that like are templated, and then they randomize based on that, which is genius. And you never think that without someone telling you.
Yeah, because it's sort of that's the sort of way of the game teaching you, like, the levels are never the same, but they use the same building blocks. So you haven't got to learn levels, you have to learn the blocks, essentially.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if anyone's like, oh, I've played it. I mean, you've played it a million hours, but like, I'm like, if you played it enough that you could just run it without thinking and on every possible possibility. Oh no, actually, that's a good thing to Google. That's a good thing to Google. Oh, so you saying seeded run made me think, of course I played another roguelike, Balatro.
Oh yeah, of course.
And Balatro's a really good roguelike, I think, because it's slower, if that makes sense. So you can, like, while it's frustrating if you've got like really high numbers and you fuck up, it's not like an action one where you're like, oh, I've been fighting and I'm really knackered. Like, it kind of slowly teaches you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How many?
It's done it again. Hold up. Edit break. Oh, blimey. Technical wonders never cease. For those who enjoy their behind-the-scenes look at all things Regemerate.
Is it a technical roguelike, so we don't actually know what's going to happen?
Yes, because the tech issues change every single fucking time.
Woohoo!
So initially, we've had issues of trying to get our dual mic setup from not being out of sync and being shit. And we think we fixed that. So now, the game is treating us by going out of sync. And it's weird because we did a lot of God of War recording today, and that all seemed to be running fine with no hiccups. So, yeah.
Is it because it's on 100? You were gloating about the frame rate.
It might be a it might be a frame rate issue, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. No, what I was trying to Google was how many level combination possibilities would there be in Spelunky?
Oh, it's infinite.
I thought so, because I can't find an answer.
Yeah, it's infinite. You can't quantify it.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, I think it's one of those, I say infinite, it's one of those things where if you were to try and play every single level combination, you'd run out of time in the universe or some shit like that.
Yeah, that I love. It's like statistics like that I love, but they do also freak me out a lot.
Yeah, it's like how it's like you could never listen to every song ever made, for example. Because if you started, you would never finish it by the time you're dead. Same for movies, TV shows. Impossible for everybody to have any universal knowledge on anything. People just don't have the time in the day.
My favourite one, hang on, let me find it again. So it's something like, I can't find the actual number. I'd have to Google the correct thing. So there's like a couple of years ago I tried to start learning like tarot properly and just like what the meaning of the combinations. I'm not great at it, but I find it interesting. And I read something like, so that the Celtic cross, which is the one where it's like 4 down, 2 across, something like that. Because there's like I don't know how many cards are in the deck, but basically based on how many cards are in the deck on that one combination, I think you could have a possibility of like 7 trillion possible different combinations from a very small. It's like every time you shuffle a deck of cards, it's never been shuffled in that exact way, in that exact.
Yeah.
Like those kind of crazy card statistics always get me. Again, like it's interesting, but it does freak me out at the same time.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing about chess moves. It's like there are more possible moves, and single game of chess than there are particles in the universe.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
something crazy.
It's a big boy number, that's all I know.
Yeah. I never got on with maths, but I would have found it more interesting if you were doing like crazy stuff like that.
I hate those guys so much.
Yeah, that was rough. Excuse me.
Is there a guy in here? I can save. No, it's a different type of room entirely. It's my favourite enemies, the monkeys.
Ain't that the name of the game?
Somehow monkeys have found their way here as well.
Every game.
Monkeys can't stop showing up.
It needs to be the monkey channel.
Re-monkey.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep. Yeah.
Hello?
That's great.
Anyone?
Yeah, that's great. Brilliant.
Okay. This is the only way I can get this guy. Can't wait for his bat to be turned. Got you.
Let's try.
Fuck you. Yeah, that's what I thought. Motherfucker. Yeet, yeet. Smack, smack, sugar, smack. Well. Oh, and it was the fucking level with the secret in it as well.
Oh no.
So our channel's first foray into Spelunky. Relatively unsuccessful. Yes.
Well, it just opens up for more Spelunky time in the future.
Yes.
Boom.
Boom goes the dynamite. Okay, can't get that. Can't get that. Can't get that. Bang. Oh, ow. Eat.
That one didn't count. It's fine.
Ooh, eat. Oh, ow. Oh, eat. Ooh.
That one didn't count. It's fine.
This time, baby.
Do you have a favourite, like, level combination of, like, level flavour?
What, in this game?
Yeah. Because they're one that you see and you're like, hell yeah.
They're all equally dreadful.
Okay.
I don't mind the volcano level or Volcana. I don't go there as often, but it has a nice level of frustration. I like all the glowy lava lights.
Because this game was recent on the latest series of Secret Level, wasn't it?
Was it? It was.
It was.
Yes,
Yeah, there was a Spelunky episode talking about like how it feels to die and come back and whatever. It was probably the best episode of the bunch art as well, to be honest, as well as the Mega Man episode.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty high up there. I think I have some issues with that secret level thing as a whole. I think while the animation was quite fun and a lot of them, I think for the most part, it was annoyingly quite poor, especially because I was expecting a bit more from it.
I think just the choice of games, I think because they were trying to appease a certain market, they very much targeted very kind of like niche/mobile games that are really big in like China.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of the times where it was either didn't care or had no frame of reference for it whatsoever, which I'm sure people from all over the world think about maybe Spelunky as well and the levels that we liked. But I feel like there's a bit of universality with games like this as opposed to a very random, very ancient game.
Yeah, there's also just like a nice unique art style to Spelunky that's like way more interesting and visually appealing.
Yeah, I've said this before, bored of hyperrealism, same in animation as well. I think my fault is that I just really like animated anthology series. Yeah. Is just, like the Armored Core episode wasn't terrible. Let me have a look on my letterbox. What other episodes did they do? Let's have a look. The Pac-Man one was cool because that was all a bit creepy and conceptual. They made that into a horror thing, but not in a way that you would expect.
Yeah, I liked those more conceptual ones.
Same.
There were some that just felt like straight up advertisements, which I just wasn't pleased by. It just felt like absolute guff.
So I put the Spelunky one top, then Pac-Man second, and then the Warhammer one was cool actually. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was alright.
Because that had some really cool like lighting choices, like the religious icon. I didn't realise there was so much like religious iconography in that. That was cool. Then it was the Mega Man one. The only reason that came forth is because it was only like 8 minutes long. I wish it was longer. The Unreal Tournament one was pretty sick.
Yeah, that one was really fun.
That was really good. Dungeons and Dragons, fine, but why watch that when you can watch the Dungeons and Dragons film?
Yep.
one of the best films of 2022. Was it 2022?
Yes.
Yeah. Then Sifu was quite cool. I don't know a lot about Sifu, but I like the animation in that one.
Oh no, Dungeons and Dragons is 2023. Just popped up in my head.
Either way, great film of that
Yeah.
year. Yeah, Sifu was cool. The Outer Worlds was fine. And this is where they start getting fine. New Worlds, The Once and Future King. I don't really remember that one. The one with Arnie in it.
I mean, there's one with the Arnie in it. That was for like some
it was
Amazon
the beach
game.
One. No, yeah. Then Honor of Kings. I thought that was interesting, but again, like, I was just like, I really don't give a shit about this very niche mobile game.
Yeah.
Which is bad because that's what the point of the show is. And I thought the episode was interesting, but I was just kind of like, I want to see things that like I know or people know turned into an actual story.
Yeah. I completely agree.
And then it was Concord.
Fuck!
Then it was the Concord episode.
R.I.P.D. Concord.
Yep. Whoopsie whoopsie. And then it was Armored Core. That was okay. It was fine.
The Armored Core one was one of them, and I don't know if it's just our setup, but the audio in the Armored Core one, and one of the others as well, the audio was really muffled. And in retrospect, I think it might have been like some sort of like issue with our sound system, and like they hadn't made it work for like non-surround sound systems, because it was like every time somebody spoke to Keanu in that one, the audio just was really muffled, and I thought, oh, is it because he's like cybernetic, so like, oh, he doesn't hear properly or some shit? And I was like, no, I don't think it's a choice. I think it's just our audio is buggered. And
then the one after that was the PlayStation 1 that they did, and then it was what's Exodus Odyssey? I can't remember what that one was, actually.
Oh, is that that might have been the Amazon one, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, either way, I don't remember that at all, so that shows you. And then the last one was that Crossfire.
Yeah.
Which you said was like one of the biggest games in China or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just...
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a big multiplayer thing for them, I think.
It was far too long and very boring. And actually animated for an attempt at hyper-realism, it was animated quite poorly. But yeah, not bad.
Yeah, I think I had more misses than hits with
I did, but truthfully, if it means that they keep making them until they...
I'd like to see more of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm in no way excusing sort of poor production, because I guess in their minds maybe some of it wasn't poor production, you know. But
no,
like,
I don't think anybody that was working on them thought this is the boring episode.
But if it means that bullshittery, if it means that we end up with more little series like that, then by all means. Right, I'm giving you one last shot because hopefully that'll give you the oomph you need.
Oh, ow!
All right, walk it off.
What? Well, I think that's a good place to stand to end it.
Yeah, that was quite funny actually. Well, you did well, and I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well,
I think we'll be back with this.
We'll be back. I'll figure out what's going on with the sound sync for Spelunky.
That's
I
fine.
might have to play the PS4 version instead of the PS5 version.
That's fine. But now you can go and take a breath. And we'll be back.
That's a shame.
That was quite a funny ending, to be fair.
Well, I got Spelunkied. That's called getting Spelunky, folks.
See ya.
Bye. Play Spelunky. Play Spelunky.
Play Spelunky.